Hello everyone, this is a video where I showcase Half-Life 2 enemies roster and, as you might expect, I proceed and bash the lack of enemy variety in the game, especially when we compare the Half-Life 2 roster to Half-Life 1 roster. But first, let's make a small preface to the video. So, some might argument in favor of Half-Life 2 by saying that, sure, there might be fewer enemies, but Half-Life 2 variety lies in all the possible ways you can kill enemies thanks to the gravity gun. The problem is that, in my own opinion, the fun you can have with the gravity gun pretty much ends in Ravenholm, since it's the only level where the game gives you fun stuff to throw, such as saw blades, exploding barrels and bricks, and moreover, the addition of a weapon such as the gravity gun, as innovative as it may be, still won't suffice the lack of enemy variety in the game. Aside from the combines, I feel like most of Half-Life 2 enemies are boring to kill. Maybe the fast zombies can be an exception too, since they are quite satisfying to blast, in my opinion. The secondary fire of your shotgun does a good job at it. I also feel like Half-Life 2 has a lack of medium to high HP enemy to kill. Maybe the introduction of the poison zombie would have sufficed this lacking part, but the poison zombie is a bit of a boring enemy since he moves super slow and only throw poison headcrabs at you. And killing him feels like shooting at an unresponsive huge chunk of meat, and sometimes I almost feel sorry for him. So let's hop into the various enemies in Half-Life 2. Let's start by the so-called Xen creatures. And what do we have? Let's start with the Headcrabs that make a return in Half-Life 2, and although as iconic as you might consider them to be, I feel like they're not the most exciting alien to come back from Half-Life 1. This time there are two more types of headcrabs. The fast headcrabs, which are headcrabs that can run faster, so they are true menace for the player, Freeman and humanity. And then we got, much like Spider-Man got his dark counterpart, in Half-Life 2 headcrabs have poisonous headcrabs brothers, which are sleek and look grimy, and I guess they're kinda cool looking and I like them. But I don't think they add that much to the game. They're just headcrabs that bring your health to 1 HP and make it more frustrating when a poisonous headcrabs attacks in combo with a normal headcrab. But I need to send a message to Valve. So, no matter how many types of headcrabs Valve tries to make, they will never fill the void that it is left by ruling out each and every alien enemy that was not a zombie or an headcrab. And at the end of the day, even the zombies are just a byproduct of headcrabs, so they, they aren't even a new enemy after all. Then we got the zombies, as we have already mentioned. So zombies make a return as well, and in my opinion they are the second least interesting Half-Life 1 alien enemy in the game. But at least in Half-Life 1 these zombies had some kind of meaning lore-wise, since you know, in Unforeseen Consequences you first meet an headcrab, then a zombie, and then you see an headcrab eating a guard face, and so you start thinking about the zombie you've just killed, and that maybe the person behind the headcrab uh, admit his fate in an horrible way with an headcrab controlling his mind as well, and so the player starts to wonder how bad the Black Mesa incident has been and what a catastrophe has happened. And so the zombies in Half-Life 1 have some type of meaning, while in Half-Life 2 they're just there for the horror aspect, and because zombies were popular back in 2004. So, but I guess that the zombies are fun to kill, but only in Ravenholm, since the game throws a lot of stuff to throw at you, and so you can enjoy slicing them up with a saw blade. And if I could, I would select zombies with a saw blade for a living, much like Father Gregory. But similarly to the Headcrabs, Half-Life 2 introduces two new types of zombies. So there is the poison zombie that we have already mentioned, and his perks are walking around incredibly slowly, soaking bullets like a champion, and throwing poison headcrabs at your face, but with crappy aim. He's kinda uncool, especially if you remember another kind of zombie introduced in Half-Life Opposing Force, the Gunham. I can't help but think of the poison zombie as the depressed version of the Gunham. The second addition to the scarce enemy roster is the fast zombie, and I do dig their design. They look very thin and sleek, their muscles are popping out, and so do their tendons, and the graphic design matches their peculiarity of moving quite fast and being one of the few threatening enemies in the game. Mauling their heads with a shotgun secondary fire is indeed a pleasure, and overall, this enemy kind of saves the day, making Half-Life 2 a bit more spicy. So then there is the third alien creature coming back, a very exciting one, which is the Barnacles. Aren't they exciting? Much like bats who can fly, they sit head down on the ceilings of buildings, sewers, or wherever the game developers chose to put these enemies as environmental hazards. Because in the end, that's what barnacles are. They're not proper enemies, in my opinion. They're more like traps. I guess that in Half-Life 2 they're a bit more satisfying to shoot, but they lack the gory and meaty design of Half-Life 1 in favor of a more poisonous type of aesthetic. So should we care about barnacles making a comeback? Well, of course not. Then there is the new type of alien enemy introduced in Half-Life 2, which is the Antillions. What are the Antillions? They are just plain insects, and they look like an hybrid between a roach and a locust. I like their bright yellow and green coloring with stripes of black. Unfortunately, graphic design aside, I only got bad words to say about Antillions. They are supposedly your main enemy in Highway 17 and Sand Traps. However, they're not a big threat at all. They have low HP, they do low damage, and sure, they do move frantically and jump up very high in the sky, yet they're still kinda ineffective. If you think about it, they're just headcrabs on steroids, since they are melee, but they can only walk faster and jump higher. At the end of the day, I don't feel like killing insects is a satisfying thing to do, because in real life you can kill as many insects as you want, while you cannot really kill combine soldiers, and moreover, all these 6-year-old kids enjoy killing insects, and we're not 6 anymore. And now we get to the evolved version of the Antillion, which is the Antillion Guard. And you know what? I really like this enemy, but the problem is that you meet this enemy only twice or once in the game. Maybe twice in Sand Traps and in Nova Prospect. And yeah, I think that it would have been very cool to have more of them in the game, because they would have filled the lack of medium to high HP enemy in the game. Okay, the Antillion Guard has a lot of HP, but maybe with some tuning down of his health, it could have become the medium to high HP enemy that the game needed. Their design is also very cool. They do look menacing and have a very aggressive behavior, making it seem like they really want Gordon Freeman dead. And I enjoy the Antillion Guards. Now let's get to the nucleus of Half-Life 2 enemy roster, which are the Combines, which are divided in Metro Police, Combine Soldier, and Prison Guards, and Combine Elites. So their design is made of a mask hiding their face. They all wear the same uniform and shoot the same guns you shoot. Thanks to this design, they look very mysterious and intriguing, at least according to many game critics, which seem to love them. And you never know which secrets are hidden behind the mask and their mechanical voice. Some questions might pop in the player's mind, such as is someone conducting biomechanical experiments on humans? What's the Combine purpose? And why do they move as one unit with one same goal? Questions to which nobody will ever be able to answer, but the strength of these enemies can be found in their original design. It's not as if mechanically enhanced soldiers were not already used in other games, like in Quake 2, in a much more diverse and rich way. You're gonna meet hordes of combines in Half-Life 2, so you better be prepared to love every single thing about them. Me personally, I kind of dislike them. They are overused in the game and their design is very boring. Their weapons are hit scan, but they're not that accurate, so you can kind of weave through the lines of fire. And in my opinion, the only cool aspect about them is the vocal feedback they emit once they die. Also, the ragdolls are cool as well, especially if you nail them with a crossbow or headshot them with a revolver. But the fun really ends here, especially considering that you have very few ammo for the revolver and crossbow. In Nova Prospect, you'll fight waves of these enemies twice. It's not like you get any other option but slay them all, since Alex won't cancel the energy field if you don't commit a killing spree of combines. Nice level design. But wait, because after killing the 600th combine, you may start dreaming about how fun it could be to just kill them with your gravity gun by picking them up and shooting them away. And the game got you served in the Citadel, where you have to annihilate lines of combines with your supercharged gravity gun by just spamming the right and left button. So have fun. Then we got to the annoying and boring tire, which is the Striders and Gunships. Well, I dislike them because they are too similar to each other, both graphic design wise, with their shells the, that look like they come from an aquatic creature, and they also have similar mechanics since they both shoot machine gun fire, and they both have to be killed in the same way with 5 rockets, which are a lot of rockets in Half-Life 2, especially considering that the gunship got flare, and so they can avoid your rockets sometimes. And you also can only hold 3 RPGs along with 1 RPG inside the weapon. So you really have to go and scrape for a lot of ammunition during these fights. And sometimes it kinda feel unauthentic that you have so many RPG crates lying around on the ground. And the problem is that you can only kill them with RPGs pretty much, and you have no Gauss cannon in case you run out of RPG ammo. And I feel like that the Strider fights is incredibly annoying in Follow Freeman. And if you didn't know, 2 gunships are actually the final boss of this game, which is kind of unbelievable and bad. Now let's get to the last part, which is the combine machinery. So let's quickly acknowledge the existence of scanners and rollermines. Although similarly to the barnacle, I think of these enemies more as traps or obstacles for the player uh, to hinder the player progression in the game. I don't believe they provide anything good or fun to the game, and they're just there for to set the 1984 setting. Now let's get to the ultra boring tire, the Hoppermines and ground turrets. So I was replaying Half-Life 2, and when I got to the chapter Follow Freeman, I thought that, you know, since it was the penultimate level of the game would have thrown me exciting challenges, or maybe a new weapon or a new enemy. Also, this is the last part in the game where you actually get to use all the few weapons you have in Half-Life 2, because in the next chapter they're gonna be confiscated. So in Follow Freeman, which new enemy type you meet? Well, fucking turrets, you know, and hopper mines as well. Both are incredibly boring in their design since they're just black piece of plastic or obsidian. They're also boring in their functionality since while turrets shoot while mines just explode, and the way you have to kill them it's boring as well. The About the upper mines, you just have to deactivate them by comfortably holding your right button of the gravity gun, while with turrets you really need to have pinpoint grenade accuracy, because they're very annoying to kill and it's hard to put the grenade inside the turret. Then there are smaller turrets as well, which you know kind of work similarly to Half-Life 1, but didn't seem to take a lot of damage from your SMGs or AR, and it's better to sprint in front of them and kill them with your gravity gun. In my opinion, turrets are very boring enemies to kill. They are soulless, they're just pieces of plastic, and they are very uninspired, especially for them to be put in the penultimate level in the game of the game. But we got an honorable mention in Half-Life 2, which is the Manhack. Yeah, the graphic design is quite original. There are smaller enemies which fly around in flock with a red dot in the middle of them, which looks like an eye and kinda adds to the surveillance theme that is present in Half-Life 2. They also they're also quite aggressive, and it really feels like they identify Freeman and then rush at him to kill him. Also, the sound they make, it's quite cool, and the way they fly around and, and respond to your bullets physic-wise are very fun to watch, and also they explode in thousands of pieces, and the explosion has got a lot of details as well. So guys, this is it. This is the Half-Life 2 enemies overview video. So to conclude the video, I truly wish that Valve wouldn't have left out all the cool enemies you have in Opposing Force and Half-Life 1. Overall, Half-Life 2 is still a good game, and it is still fun to play, but Half-Life 1 is better, obviously. So, goodbye, boys.